All right, hello and welcome everybody to Disney Co. in the Know. This is episode 20, and with all the exciting news coming from Walt Disney World this week, and it being our 20th podcast episode, we thought that we would go out live as a surprise on Facebook. So before I introduce today's guest to help out with all of the Disney news, all of the Disney Co. in the Know podcast, live videos, and blogs is sponsored by 407 and Beyond Vacation Company, Disney and Universal experts who help plan your family's perfect vacation. So all you have to do is show up, have fun, and create family memories. As always, our services are free to you. Visit us on the web at www.407vacations.com. So we have a packed podcast for you today, full of Disney news from the week. Big news even breaking today. So to help me with the news and to go through these stories is Disney Co. in the Know contributor Lydia Freudenberg. Lydia, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
It's
Happy
good to
20th episode.
Yeah, same to you. I can't believe we started these videos as something we were doing in quarantine to help bring the Disney magic to folks and get them kind of acquainted with all of the changes going on with their vacations. And I can't believe we're here on episode 20, and we're gonna hopefully have another 20 and another 20 after that. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Lydia, if people in the comment section pose any questions or anything, I'll pop them on the screen and we'll answer them as we go. But if not, you can catch Disney Co. in the Know podcast on Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. So with that, Lydia, let's get started with the latest news coming out today, which isn't necessarily news, but Disney parks are open, which is pretty exciting. So today was the annual Passholder preview date. And so annual pass holders were able to go to the parks at a limited capacity and kind of experience all the things that Disney was doing with health and safety measures and just kind of get in there before the parks officially open. So Lydia, as you know, the parks open Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom on July 11th, which is just 2 days away. And and then Hollywood Studios and Epcot on July 15th. So I know you've been following along, Lydia, with people there at the parks today. So is there anything in particular that you've seen or anything that's caught your eye?
Yeah, so I know Snow White's Seven Dwarfs Mine Ride, is that the correct name, I think? The Mine Ride has been getting a lot of attention. I know a photo went up on Twitter talking about some people gathering outside of the queue. People were a little nervous about that. I think that was just in the comments they were saying it caught us out of context, this just happened, but people did go in and break that up. And then they were also talking about the queue, and they removed some of the interactive elements, it looked like, to create this plexiglass barrier. And again, Twitter, everyone has an opinion on Twitter. So there were some people who were like, no, and other people were like, this is really impressive.
So Lydia, let me I'll pull up that plexiglass photo for people to see, and this is a photo taken from WDWNT on their Twitter feed, and you can see there on the photo that they have these very tall, just looking at the people in the queue, that looks like maybe 6 foot tall, Lydia. I don't know what you think, but plexiglass to divide people in the queue. So that's pretty interesting. That's really kind of building a little bit of new infrastructure to keep guests physically distanced. But I know that when I go, that I'm going to appreciate that. So I feel pretty comfortable with that.
Plus, I thought it made a lot of sense because that queue is so interactive, and you just have those little kitty paws all over that stuff. So they were probably well, even if we wanted to keep this, we can't, because there's just germs everywhere on this stuff. So I'm sure they had to, that's why they were especially displaying that ride, just because the ride used to be, and it will be once again, really interactive.
Yeah, so. And Lydia, on top of that, I have another photo here of a hand washing station at the Magic Kingdom, and this is a photo from the Diz Twitter account. But it looks like there's foot pumps to get water and soap and paper towels, and I guess these are spread out across the park. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, and they don't look like in your face, you know, it's just like, oh, the Disney's so pretty. Oh, there's a little hand washing station. You know what I mean? It's not
Right.
like it's like taking up all like away your like visual appreciation of Disney. It's small, it's just there for guests to use. I don't think like people are going to notice it, but not in like a bad way. You know what I mean? I
Right.
don't think it's like causing any distraction for like your experience. So that's good.
Right. It's not like visually like looks obtrusive or in the way or
Right.
anything. It's like nice and tucked away, you know.
Uh-huh.
So it looks like they took the inside of a Porta John and made that available to folks. But no, I think that that's just great. The hand washing station, I think, you know, Disney has said in several press releases that they're going to have these health and safety measures throughout the park. So to seeing these, at least for the annual pass holder preview.
Yeah, and I'm like curious how.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I'm curious to see, like, if a lot of these will stick around, like, after the pandemic, after, you know,
Right.
the virus is more under control, because I could see guests being like, I actually really like this. Could you make it more permanent?
Right. Yeah, and to your
Because, you
point,
know, like, you can be in Disney with your kid, and they, like, spill all their ice cream, and it's like, I don't want to wait in line for the bathroom or go into the bathroom. Just run over there, you know? So it's, like,
right.
it's nice. Like, I think that people might start appreciating them more.
I totally agree. And even if capacity limits in the parks do begin to increase and Disney has more guests in the park, even if COVID numbers begin to dwindle, I could see these and other types of hand sanitizing stations or hand sanitizer being passed out, you know, up through 2021 easily, just as Disney continues to, you know, implement these measures to protect guests. So.
Right.
I think it's, you know, it's new as the parks reopen, but I think you know, the guest needs to get acquainted with these and expect these to stick around, you know, kind of long term. So, other news coming from today's annual pass holder review is supposedly they may be doing away with the fingerprint at the entry. So guests will no longer have to scan their Magic Band and then give their fingerprint. So that definitely could expedite the entry process, but also limit the amount of germs being spread, which I appreciate even those small changes going on at Disney World. And just generally, Lydia, from what I've seen at the parks, on you know, vloggers and on social media, is that never once did I look at a photo or a video and think that, wow, that looks really crowded, or boy, I'm glad I'm not there because it's so crowded. It looks like they lowered the capacity and they're spreading people out amongst the parks. So you know, I'm excited to go back. We were invited to go down for the annual pass holder preview. We decided not to. But we do have park passes and reservations this fall in September and November and December, and so we're really looking forward to seeing how these things kind of play out.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do a good job at like breaking up crowds and stuff, and like that's what I was saying like at the beginning of this when that one photo went slightly viral of like all those people standing outside of the ride, but it was just like they said, like it's taken out of context. Like there are Disney, you know, employees there, specifically cast members, to break up these crowds to make sure people are being safe, and everyone's wearing a mask, so you can definitely feel safe knowing that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and what I have heard, I don't know this firsthand, but what I have heard is that cast members are very much so expected to enforce, and you know, distancing, mask wearing, hand sanitizing, and stuff like that. So I think that's been put on the cast members too to make sure that they're enforcing the new policies that Disney has put out. So other than that, I did see some physical distancing signs. Like on the ground, so you know where to stand, where to sit. And so, you know, it seems like so far today that the annual pass holder preview has been a success. So I think that's all we can ask for coming out of Disney.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree.
So, all right. So, Lydia, let's move on over to our second piece of news, and that is the annual pass holder discount that just released this morning for the month of September. So, the first question might be, why is it just the month of September? Right now, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. My guess, which is purely speculative, is that maybe numbers are a little bit low, and so they're trying to kind of backfill guests for the month of September. But Lydia, the discounts for annual pass holders is crazy. So deluxe resorts are up to 40% off, moderate resorts 35% off, and value resorts 30% off. So I booked a couple of rooms over at the beach club for a week. And I was like, wow, we're staying at the beach club for like moderate prices. So so big
Man, I wish
discounts.
I had an annual pass.
Right. So I think it's for a couple of reasons. One, like I said, to kind of get more guests there in the month of September, but also two is that annual pass holders were limited to 3 park passes for their annual pass, and that's all the way into 2021. And I think the annual pass community was like, wait, we paid all this money for annual passes, and now we can only use it 3 times. And so I think this was a way to get annual pass holders there in September. And if you have a resort reservation and you're an annual pass holder, you can get park passes that don't count against your 3 as an AP holder that are because you have the resort reservation. So I think it was probably a little bit of both that drove to these very large discounts for APs.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, cool. Let's move over to 2020 ticket sales. So earlier this week, the Disney released that for 2020 they are renewing or resuming sales for theme park tickets and resort reservations. So Lydia, as you recall, when all of these cancellations went into place and temporary suspensions, that when they were announced reopening, Disney said that they were only taking reservations for 2021. And just earlier this week, they have opened that up, starting today, actually on the 9th, that they can take 2020 ticket sales and resort reservations. So this is really particularly exciting for those guests who had resort reservations but didn't have those park tickets because they weren't able to make park reservations. So this was a big deal for them. So
that's nice. But it's still not like new ticket sales, right? Like it's not like
it is.
I can't go in. Oh, so like I could book a trip?
Yes, you could. Anybody could buy tickets or get resorts for 2020 and get their park reservations. So yeah, it's opened up.
There's like so many layers to this. They're like, okay, these people can do this now. These people can do this now. I'm like, wait, what?
Lydia, that's the truth. There are so many particulars and details and dates and ranges. Now is the time to get a travel agent if you are traveling to Disney World. So
for real,
just a shameless plug.
Have they made any news about annual passes being for sale again, or has that not been announced?
So we haven't seen any news break on when you can purchase annual passes again. I assume that after we get through these first few phases of the new park pass reservation system and guests coming back for 2020 and they gauge capacity numbers, that they'll begin to announce or break news about new annual passes. So
okay.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I know like people are nervous right now because the numbers are going up in Florida, but I have heard a lot of stuff on the internet where people are saying like Disney feels really safe. Like I feel like I'm in a bubble. The property is so sprawling and everyone seems to be following the rules thus far. So I don't think people need to be too nervous about going. Like, of course, like it's totally your own judgment, but I think like it sounds like they're doing a really good job at keeping everyone safe and like comfortable feeling.
Right, and I think a lot of people share that viewpoint, and a lot of people, know that Universal Orlando's been open for over a month now and taking guests. So I think Disney's kind of also had an opportunity to see what's working, what's not working over there. So that's been nice, but. Okay, excellent. Let's. A couple of things I did want to mention on the 2020 reservations is that guests can buy tickets for from 1 to 7 days, and from my understanding, you do need to make a park pass reservation for all of the days that you are there or that you have theme park tickets. So make sure that you check out the calendar on what's available for park passes before you go ahead and make that purchase, or get in contact with a travel agent. Or use your travel agent to do that because they can look that up and make sure that the capacity is open for theme parks when you go. So Disney also released dining information. They have said that they have moved the dining reservation window to 60 days in advance of your trip, and that in order to make a dining reservation at a theme park, guests must have a valid theme park ticket plus a park pass reservation. To make to enter into a resort that's not yours, you will need to have a dining reservation. And Disney strongly suggests that if you are looking to eat at the resort you're staying at, that you don't try to walk up, but that you do in fact make a reservation, which just really helps them limit capacity and kind of know who's coming and going. So that's everything for 2020. So Lydia, you had looked into the transportation that's going to be available, starting now actually. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about that?
So the monorail and ferry boat will be open by the time the parks are opening on July 11th. So that's good. It'll be right there, right in, Bay Lake, on the loop for all those hotels. And then the Skyliner will be operating fully starting July 15th. And that makes stops at Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Riviera Resort, Caribbean Beach, Boardwalk Inn, Yacht and Beach, Art of Animation, and Pop Century. And I think that's like the best social distancing form of transportation you could take, I feel. So that one I think would be exciting to experience, and you'd feel, really safe in that. Unfortunately, the minivan services and the watercraft, which I believe are like the Bruce, you can verify this for me. The smaller boats, like the ones that go from Epcot to Swan Lake to Hollywood Studios, is that correct?
Right, yes.
Those are suspended for the time being. And a lot of that people are assuming are suspended just because there isn't enough people in the park right now to keep those, up and operating. So those will probably reopen as more guests are allowed into the property and into the parks. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But yeah, for the most part, like buses are they've been back up and running. So that's good to go. And but even still, like, I think Ubers are still in and allowed on the property as well. So if you don't want to take any of that, you can Uber.
Right, exactly. So here's kind of the details that I have heard from people being down there the last couple of days, is that for the bus system, they have divided the bus into kind of like segments or quadrants, and to keep guests physically distanced. So even though park capacity is lower, your bus times may stay the same, stay normal, just because they're limiting the amount of people that are going on the bus. So one number I have heard, but it is not validated, is I think 18 guests per bus, but don't quote me on that. I just saw that in passing. So, and one interesting thing, Lydia, with the gondolas is you're right. You're going to feel incredibly protected or safe because it's just probably going to be your party in one gondola. I'm kind of curious though how they plan on cleaning those, because as they come continuously in the loop, it's not like someone's going to hop on and clean it, and then you can't stop it just to clean it. So I'm kind of curious how that works.
Like hand sanitizer. Oh, sorry. I think, internet. I think they'll have maybe they'll have hand sanitizer on there that you can use. So that would be nice, but. Yeah, we'll see. I haven't heard anything about that. I'm like, that'd be funny if they just hose them down. Yeah,
I know. Like as you come into the station, you get out, they just have this defogger machine and decontaminating the Skyliner. So
I'd love to be that person, just like
right. That is funny. I particularly like the Skyliner a lot. I don't necessarily treat it as a more efficient mode of transportation because sometimes they do come with lines, and sometimes you do have to transfer Skyliner lines. But it is an enjoyable ride. If you are not scared, of dangling and heights, then this is just an added attraction where you can get some great views, some great photos, and kind of a nice place to relax. So I'm a big fan of the Skyliner. I know when I go, I'm probably not going to be the biggest fan of getting on buses, but I don't know yet. I think time will tell on that. Yeah. So, all right, excellent. Well, Lydia, speaking of buses, Disney has announced some news on the Magical Express. So, as we've said on previous shows, the Magical Express will be running and is running from Orlando International to the Walt Disney World Resort. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Magical Express, guests get off your plane. You walk down to the Concorde. You can get on the Magical Express. Disney picks you up, takes you and your luggage to your resort free of charge. So an incredibly nice service. But what they have said for health and safety purposes is that they are no longer going to be taking people's luggage separately. So Disney, I'll just look at Disney's press release here. It says guests who choose to use Disney's Magical Express will be responsible for picking up any of their checked luggage from the airport's baggage claim area and taking it to the motor coach so that it can be loaded for their transport to their Disney Resort hotel. Please know that guests' luggage will travel with them to their Disney Resort, meaning so a lot of times guests got on to the Magical Express, but their luggage came later and was delivered to their room. But for health and safety purposes, this is one of the precautionary measures they're taking to kind of limit that interaction. So guests will have to take their luggage with them, which really is not that big a deal.
No, it went from being a 5-star, amenity to a 4-star. I would even say 0.5. It's still nice because, man, transportation from an airport can be expensive. So
right,
that they're keeping it open.
Right, and Lydia, you cut out there, but I know what you're saying. The Magical Express is a nice amenity because sometimes transportation can be expensive. So you have to wheel your own luggage to the bus. Not a big deal. That's not a make or break for using the Magical Express. So, all right, let's talk about our last news story, Lydia, for the week, and that is Cinderella's castle gets a makeover. And a lot new photos are being released of the new paint job on the castle. So tell us about the paint. What color does it look like to you, and do you like it?
So it's a royal makeover, Bruce.
Oh, royal makeover. My bad.
So it looks like they have a royal blue roof, which I think is nice. It's not too different from before. It's just brighter.
Right. Yeah, it just looks vibrant.
It's more vibrant. And then it looks like it has a light pink exterior instead of that blue-gray now, which is above the gray rocks. So that it doesn't look like they did anything with the gray rocks, which are around the base of the castle.
Right.
And then they have sapphire dusting on the blue rooftops and gold trim were added to make the iconic spires sparkle in the sun. So I think the gold looks really pretty.
Yeah.
I saw some close-up photos, and it's it glistens and it will look really pretty in the Florida sun. So I think that's nice. I think I'm curious to see the pink in person. I love pink, and I think it looks really good. But then every once in a while, I look at it and I'm I don't know if I like it with the stone. So I'm curious to see it in person because I think the blue gray looked so well with the stone since it was complementary. So now there's a lot of different colors going on. So I don't know. We'll just have to see it when we get there. But it looks really pretty up close and when it's really sunny and professional photos are done. So yeah, I think it's change is good, and I think
it is good. It would definitely be an adjustment, I think, when we see it in person for the first time, because it certainly is. I'll pull it up again here. It certainly is pink, and it looks like a sparkles, like you said, and that gold is so vibrant. And I'm not, I don't know my colors that well, but it looks almost like this gold chrome-ish.
Yeah.
It
definitely went from being I would say a more realistic castle to a more fantastical castle.
Yes.
So I'm sure some people will be upset about that, but I think it's Disney World. It's not
yes,
you're in Scotland, people. Come on.
Yeah. This is not Neuschwanstein Castle being painted rose gold. Particularly the photos. I don't know if that would be how I picture Cinderella's castle at Magic Kingdom, but I don't dislike it at the same time. So I'm just really anxious to see it in person. So, and
I agree.
As we've always said, Marty Sklar said, Walt Disney has always said that the park's not a museum. It's always going to change, which
always gonna
I'm good
change.
with. So new and
Yep,
exciting
I'm fine
stuff.
with that too.
So, so Lydia, actually, just before we wrap up, I actually saw right before we went live some photos of Tron's light cycle roller coaster, and it looks like progress is coming along. So I'm really excited for that addition.
For that. Yeah, I mean, like Tomorrowland needs like the biggest facelift ever.
It does.
And it's like it was really cool, you know, when they opened it, but now it's like retro. It's not like futuristic anymore.
Right.
So I think like this will help, you know, at least kickstart things into making Tomorrowland more futuristic.
Right.
So I think that's really exciting.
I could totally see them using the Tron theming and color scheme and kind of font to redo, you know, Tomorrowland, which I think it so desperately needs. I'm not a big fan of those rocks, those metallic rocks. I'm not a fan of like the worn down Tomorrowland vibe. So, hey, if Tron is a hit, I could definitely see them using that to help with the theming of Tomorrowland. And finally get rid.
It needs some help.
Right, yeah. And Lydia, finally get rid of Stitch's Great Escape.
Yeah, okay, what's with that? So I remember like I spoke to a 7-year-old once and he didn't like it.
Nobody has like, ever liked that ever.
Kids don't like it. Why keep it around?
I know. It is brutal.
Yeah, we'll see.
But all right, well, Lydia, is there anything else you want to mention before we close up? Nothing else to mention?
No, I mean I'm just excited to get back and eat one of those Mickey bars because the ones at Kroger are great.
those just not authentic, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lydia, thanks. Thanks for being with us, talking about the news. I appreciate it. Have a good week, and I'm sure we'll see you back on another episode of Disney Co. in the Know. So.
Thanks,
no problem. To everybody watching, thanks for watching the Disney Co. in the Know podcast. We release a podcast every Thursday and bring to you all Walt Disney World and Universal vacation news so that it can help you plan your family's perfect vacation. And if you want to join in on the discussion, you know, talk with other Disney like-minded individuals and just have a good time, join us every Monday night at 7:30 for our live show where we rank our favorite attractions, talk about our must-dos, and more. So join the conversation over at Facebook Live every Monday night at 7:30. And as always, all of the Disney Co. in the Know media outlets are sponsored by 407 and Beyond Vacation Company. So if you are interested in a Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Universal Orlando vacation, go on over and check us out at www.407vacations.com. So to everyone watching and listening, you can catch us over at Facebook, YouTube, and iTunes. Stay well, stay healthy, and we will see you soon.